Whispers, rumors, speculation. The air crackles with anticipation. Is it real? Is it coming? The PS5 Pro, a mythical beast in the realm of gaming, continues to lurk just out of sight. Leaked images, cryptic developer comments, and fervent fan theories paint a picture of a console poised to push the boundaries of graphical fidelity and performance. But what exactly do we know? The PS5 Pro rumor mill refuses to stop churning out new reports on a near-weekly basis. While the upgraded version of the existing PS5 console hasn't been officially confirmed in any capacity by Sony, reliable industry insiders continue to maintain that it's on the way, with one source even suggesting that it's 100% in development. The PS5 Pro would function as a mid-generation refresh between the PS5 and its successor, which we'll call the 6 pounds. We expect the PS5 Pro to follow the lead of its precursor, the PS4 Pro. Essentially, this was a more powerful version of the base PS4 console. It packed the same DualShock 4 controller and library of games but boosted performance and targeted 4K resolution on select titles. It was a console designed for gamers who wanted extra power to enjoy PlayStation gaming at its very best. The PS5 Pro would presumably do similar by building upon the foundations of the base PS5 with refreshed internal components and maybe a slight visual redesign. But remember, it'll be an iteration of the existing PS5 hardware, not a full-fledged successor. This is not the 6 pounds. As the PS5 Pro hasn't been officially unveiled, all we have is rumors, leaks, and a healthy dose of speculation. But for now, here's everything we think we know about the PS5 Pro. PS5 Pro's rumored release date and price. The PS5 Pro has been tipped to launch in the second half of 2024. This would place it about 4 years after the launch of the PS5. This would be a little longer than the 3-year gap between the debut of the PS4 in November 2013 and the PS4 Pro in November 2016. Most recently, a leak of information pointed towards a September 2024 release window, as confirmed by Jeff Grubb on his podcast. Another prediction comes from Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming, who has repeatedly suggested that the PS5 Pro will launch in November 2024. Henderson's report is particularly significant, as he previously leaked the existence of the PS5 Slim and PlayStation Portal last year. Furthermore, additional sources suggest a 2024 release date, adding more credibility. Last year, a leaker claimed that the PS5 Pro and Nintendo Switch 2 would share a launch window. Since then, several sources had indicated that Nintendo has delayed its next hardware until early 2025. But there's been nothing to suggest that Sony is planning the same. All signs point to the PS5 Pro still launching in 2024. When it comes to price, there's precious little out there to even give us an indication of how much we need to save up ahead of time. At its release in 2016, the PS4 Pro cost $399. This was the same price the base PS4 had launched at 3 years earlier. If the PS5 Pro were to follow the trend of the last generation, it would launch for $499. However, don't be surprised if the PS5 Pro is pitched at an even higher cost, maybe even $599. Sony proved with the PSVR 2, $549 launch price, that it's not afraid to charge a premium price for new hardware. So you might want to start saving those pennies as soon as possible, because the PS5 Pro could be one expensive console. PS5 Pro potential specs. When it comes to the PS5 Pro specs, 2 words keep cropping up: 8K and ray tracing. We would expect these to be the 2 areas that Sony attempts to target with any form of revised PS5 hardware. Our latest hint at the PS5 Pro specs comes from YouTuber Moore's Law is Dead, with Insider Gaming and IGN both corroborating the scoop. According to this significant leak, the PS5 Pro could boast 67 teraflops of compute power, equating to a mere 33.5 flops of floating point performance in real-world gameplay terms. To put that into perspective, the PS5 has just 10.28 flops. So in plain English, that would be a massive technical leap and would allow the PS5 Pro to compete with even top-level gaming PCs. These rumored specs would be worthy of the Pro name. Insider Gaming has expanded on Moore's original story by providing further PS5 Pro spec details. The source suggests the Pro will get a big boost to system memory performance, leaping from the 448 GB of memory on the base PS5 up to 576 GB. The same report claims the design of PS5 Pro's CPU will be identical to the OG PS5, but the new PlayStation console will have a high CPU frequency mode that ramps up the CPU's clock speeds to 3.5 GHz. This would give the Pro's processor a 10% clock boost over the standard PS5, which is pretty significant. Other rumored specs that come by way of insider gaming include audio improvements, as much as a 35% uptick to the console's audio compression manager, 45% faster rendering speed, and a huge boost to ray tracing performance. While this all sounds exciting, be sure to note, it's still an unconfirmed rumor. Tom Henderson also suggests that the PS5 Pro will have a strong focus on ray tracing and that legendary PlayStation console architect Mark Cerny is involved in the creation of the hardware. The latter is no surprise, but is still welcome news. Adding in our own speculation, there's been a big push for player choice this console generation, with many PS5 and Xbox Series X games offering either a performance or quality mode. The former typically targets a higher frame rate, the latter a better resolution. We'd love to see the PS5 Pro build even further on this element of player choice. We don't expect a Pro console that would be capable of running the best PS5 games in 8K at 120 Hz with full ray tracing enabled. But instead, players may be able to individually choose which elements are most important to them. PS5 Pro possible features. We think it's highly unlikely that the PS5 Pro will offer any exclusive features per se. As discussed above, it will likely boast more powerful internal components, but we don't expect its upgrades will extend further into exclusive features or games. The PS5 Pro is pretty much guaranteed to play all the same games as the PS5, and the current DualSense controller will almost certainly be the primary way you interact with the console. There is perhaps a possibility that the PS5 Pro will come packing the high-end DualSense Edge controller, but we wouldn't bet on it, as Sony likely wants to sell this $199 accessory separately to dedicated PlayStation fans. It's also been theorized that the PS5 Pro will work in harmony with the recently released PSVR 2 headset. This would make sense, as virtual reality is clearly an area of great interest for Sony, and we expect its latest VR device will be supported for many years to come. There is a reasonable chance that PSVR 2 will also be able to take advantage of the increased power of the PS5 Pro for improved performance levels or sharper visuals. PS5 Pro Early Outlook. The PS5 celebrated its 4th birthday last November, but it still feels like this console generation is only just beginning. After more than 3 years of cross-generation releases, it's only now that the biggest new games are opting to launch exclusively on the PS5. Publishers have opted to release their biggest games on both PS5 and PS4 over the past few years, and this includes heavy-hitting PlayStation exclusives like Horizon, Forbidden West, and God of War Ragnarok. However, the latest flagship exclusive titles like Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Helldivers 2, and Rise of the Ronin are PS5 only. After more than a decade on the market, the PS4 is finally being left behind, but it still feels like we're at least a couple of years away from the base PS5 console hitting its stride. If a PS5 Pro is truly set to release in 2024, it would arguably come too early, launching just as the potential of its predecessor is being fully unlocked. However, some recent high-profile games have been released in a frustratingly poor technical state. Last year's Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a prime example. So there are reasons to believe that developers could do with a little bit more power to play with, and the PS5 Pro could give them plenty of extra juice. Sony would also pitch the PS5 Pro as a product designed specifically for the most enthusiastic gamers. It would not be intended as a replacement for the regular PS5, which would likely continue to be Sony's main console. The PS5 Pro is highly likely to be marketed towards players who want the highest possible resolution, with the most stable frame rates, and wouldn't be designed to replace the standard PS5 hardware. The two could coexist, as the PS4 and PS4 Pro did for several years. And as lovers of cutting-edge gaming ourselves, the various PS5 Pro rumors floating around the internet have got our full attention. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on the PS5 Pro rumors? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more gaming content.